Carousel.
Yeah.
Carousel.
Yeah.
Carousel. This the carousel. On or you off. Either you're on or you're off. Either you're on or you're off.
What?
Knock 'em out. Carousel.
Yeah.
Carousel.
Yeah.
Carousel. This the carousel. On or you're off. Either you're on or you're off. Either you're on or you're off.
What?
Knock 'em out.
Houston, we have a problem. Now, I promised Mookie Hawkins, Eric Wilson, and others that I was going to write this story, and I was a little bit lazy. I didn't write it until this morning. Wrote it about 11:35 this morning. I remember I wrote it because I had to get that done before I had to head to work because I was having a busy day. Now, if you've paid attention to any of my podcasts in the last 4, 5, 6 months with Mr. Wilson or on Fantasy and Flavors, you know I have started the Fire Bill O'Brien hype train. I have a bottle of Crown Peach and plenty of sweet tea. So before I get messed up, I thought it was best if I brought in some H-Town Wheelhouse to explain how they feel about the situation.
Man, well, here's the thing. When I saw a tweet that said, I cannot believe that my prayers were answered, and it was from a local guy that all he talks about is Texans, I was like, what are you talking about? I hadn't even seen it yet because I had just gotten out of school. And then I looked on my phone and it said Bill O'Brien has been released as the general manager and head coach. And I'm like, oh my God, no, this is 2020, man. Someone's playing, is it April? Nope, it's October 5th.
Real talk.
It's October 5th, 2020. It's about 5 years too late for this to be going on. Alex, I don't profess to know everything there is to know about football. And I'm sure there's a lot of things about the game, the ins and the outs, that you could probably teach me. But one thing I do know for sure is when I've got 7th graders in my Texas history class telling me or asking me, why does it look so difficult for the Texans to score every week? They were like, when I watch other teams play, they go down and score. But the Texans, it's like impossible. They were like, it's kind of like our B team when they try to score. And I'm like, I'm telling you, I don't know. I really think the problem is Bill O'Brien. And there was an article that it quoted, it said, every one, and I think it was Yahoo, every one of Houston Texans' problems are due to Bill O'Brien. And you hate to see a guy lose his job, but let me tell you, this is long overdue. Like he has taken too much power. He has taken too much time. He has wasted all their draft picks. What he did to Clowney, what he did, why he didn't sign up Tunsil, why he didn't lock him up and go ahead and pay him then rather than waiting. What they gave up for Kenny Stills, all that stuff. It just doesn't make sense. D-Hop is gone. We're about to see Hall of Fame career number 3 and Deshaun Watson go down the tubes if Bill O'Brien stays on board. Now there's hope. There's hope at the end of the tunnel. There's light.
Okay, real talk. All right, so I put in the work. I did that. That was supposed to be a Thursday piece, but that got shot all to hell because I think my main man, Eric Wilson, I thought it was John Turner, but Eric Wilson dropped that on Facebook and Twitter. I'm like, wait a minute. This was supposed to be in Thursday's paper. Wrong. Eric did the right thing because I was exactly 1 hour ahead of the schedule. Whenever Megan dropped that in the group chat, now I'm like, you're playing. Just like you said, it's 2020. Stop that. Don't play games with my heart like that. I saw that. I was at work, bro. I ran around the restaurant. My manager thought I was crazy. I was so happy. And then they were like, why the hell are you so happy with somebody getting fired? And I had to let them know that I've been documenting this guy's ignorant decisions since 2017. Bro, the embarrassing loss against Kansas City in the playoffs a while ago. I'm not even talking about last year.
Right.
Not showing up the offensive line when you got Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson gets hurt because you actually moved up in the draft to grab him, unlike what Chicago did. And then you don't solidify the offensive line, which is problem number 1. So he gets hurt. He comes back the next year. You go 0-1, 0-1, 0-3, and then you rattle off 9 straight while getting this man killed. This man got sacked 5 times in 7 different games. I coined the phrase Watson because he was getting sacked 5 times continuously. And yet he would get up and he would show fight. You got him a first playoff win in a long time in a very ugly game against Buffalo, but you never fixed the center position. You never fixed the right tackle position because you got Tunzel for the blind side. Thank God for that. You never got a true number 2 because Will Fuller couldn't stay healthy. You never fixed the linebacker position because you had some guy taking steroids, and once he left, you didn't have a linebacker core. You didn't re-sign Clowney, who was actually working well because it made Watt shine. It made his job a bit easier. But you could have fixed that by just getting a nose tackle, but you didn't do that. The secondary's been flawed for so long; it's been pathetic. And then you're going to have a beef with DeAndre Hopkins because you don't like the fact that baby's mamas come around the facility? Bro, this is the best part of your damn team, other than Watson. This is like Ebony and Ivory, Oreo cookie, everything works, and you broke that up for a bag of chips? Bro.
For a bag of like imitation chips. They don't even say Lay's, they just say Lay. I mean, they're just some cheap, just Mickey Mouse, flea market kind of stuff. You sit here and you look at this team and you like, okay, what are they going to be able to achieve this year? And I tried to be optimistic, but I saw the funniest like graphic someone made where they took a picture from Bill O'Brien from his first year here and every year at a press conference. And the one quote across that picture was, I've got to coach him better. And that's what we've been hearing. I've got to coach him better. I got to have him more prepared. I've got to have him prepared better. And we were like, what's it going to take? Like this team, like we know that they should have gotten beat by the Chiefs. We know they should have gotten beat by the Ravens. Right. But these last 2 games, I mean, that Pittsburgh game was winnable. That game was theirs. That was theirs to win. They could have won Sunday, but the problem was they had Bill O'Brien, and he said this week, I'm making all the calls. I'm doing the play calling. Well, okay, Bill, you better freaking like do something besides like, I mean, it has been, to me, I told season ticket holders, if they don't fire Bill O'Brien next week, because they only sold 13,000 tickets this last week of the 22,000 they had available or something like that. I'm like, why? Yes. I said, why don't y'all not even go to the game? Like, don't even go. Like, don't show up. You can't tailgate. Don't go. Why spend the money on a trash organization? And I'm not talking about the players. I'm talking about the leadership. And Cal McNair, apparently, maybe he's seen this. Maybe he's wanted to do this for a while. And he just hasn't really felt like he's had the ability to say, okay, he's really bad and we got to get rid of him. Because, Bill O'Brien's other famous line is 9-7 is not the bar. Or, see, I don't know what changed. I don't know if Cal McNair hit his head on the tub the night before and then he woke up kind of like Doc from Back to the Future. 1.21 gigawatts. Like we've got Deshaun Watson. He's number 4. We've got one of the best. And they're already talking about Deshaun Watson in decline. I'm like losing my mind. I'm like, no, he's in.
Let me in.
Yeah. Go.
Okay, so Pete Gang, DeAndre Hopkins' numbers this year has been ridiculous. He's number 3 on the wide receiver chart. Terry McLaurin doesn't get the respect he deserves, but he's playing for the Washington football team. Then you got DeAndre Hopkins. Then you got DK Metcalf and Stephon Diggs. So obviously, DeAndre Hopkins was not the issue and he wasn't the problem. And the fact that he had 2 baby mamas, just like Tom Brady and a lot of these other players, and Bill O'Brien couldn't take it, just shows that a testament of him being a general manager and a coach was a conflict of interest because he couldn't separate the 2. Now, number 2, you're going to tell me Brandon Cooks, Randall Cobb, Katie Stills, Kiki Kuti is supposed to be the production output that you had with DeAndre Hopkins? Bro, 2 years ago, this man didn't drop a damn ball.
Yeah.
I mean, I would trade all of them to get, and David Johnson, to get DeAndre Hopkins back because I believe they could do more with less. If he had a security blanket with DeAndre Hopkins, he probably beats Pittsburgh. Okay? Now, he loses to Kansas City. We let that go. But at least Baltimore's competitive.
Right.
But these last couple of L's with Minnesota made y'all look bad because you had a 100-yard rusher and 200-yard receivers. And how the hell did Philadelphia miss on Justin Jefferson? I don't know. But that's a conversation for another day. The corners look bad. The safeties look bad. J.J. Watt's got his final time on an 0-4 team. Deshaun Watson is regressing. He's supposed to be top 5 quarterback, and he's barely top 15. due to the fact that he doesn't have a reliable pass catcher, they don't have a sufficient running game, and he's taking hits just like he did a couple of years ago. It's all you.
So here's what I think we need to do, and I don't know how realistic this is, but everybody in Houston wants Eric Bieniemy. I remember rooting for him when he was in college. That dude was a stud. Everybody wants him out of Kansas City. I don't know how you pull a guy out of Kansas City where they're pretty much at the apex of what they're doing, but it is a head coaching job. I've always liked the idea of trying to pull Dabo Swinney into the NFL. I just think with his history with Deshaun Watson, I don't know. I really like the guy. He's a winner. Why not look at someone like Dabo Swinney? And maybe, how about this? Try this for a surprise. Lincoln Riley. I mean, right now, we don't have anybody. And what I think is funny is they did hire back Cushing to be the strength and conditioning coach, but he got busted. But he got busted twice for steroids in the NFL. That kind of, I don't know, like Brian Cushing, I've actually met the guy. He's actually a really great guy in person, but that just seemed like an odd hire to me. Now I've got a question. Is there an outside chance that Bill Cowher gets back in the game and puts a coaching whistle around his neck? Is there a chance?
He who shall remain nameless, Bill Cowher, has not come out of retirement when there have been other coaching opportunities. Why would he come back when he knows he has to fix that entire secondary and that linebacker core is in shambles? You gave away Jadeveon Clowney, and J.J. Watt's got one foot out the door. You know you're going to have to rebuild that defense from top to bottom. Next year, you get rid of all these damn contracts. David Johnson got to go. You let Higdon get a start if you don't sign a big name running back to help out the running game. Your first, second, and third picks in the draft should be offensive line. Fix the guard, fix the tackle. You might want to think about switching out the center. He's 50-50. I don't like 50-50. Switch him out too. You already gave Laramie Tunsil the contract. You have teams that do more with less if you have an offensive line and not the big names. Look at what New England was able to do tonight against the Kansas City Chiefs with an awful quarterback play of Jared Stidham and Brian Hoyer. They could have won that game if it wasn't for the interception, but I digress. Houston already has the weapons. Somebody's going to want Kenny Stills. He's your only really tradable market. Brandon Cooks is broken item. He's bad goods. He's been on 4 teams in the last 4 years. I don't want to touch him. Saints, Patriots, Rams, now Houston. No. Randall Cobb's got one foot out the door, but he took a cheap contract, so you might as well keep him. You need to draft smart because this isn't too bad. Houston's not going to win the division this year, but they can be right back next year.
So they don't, I mean, I don't even know what draft picks they have for next year. I think they've traded most of their draft picks away, haven't they?
Miami, Laramie Tunsil, they don't have a first-round pick, and they don't have a third-round pick.
So I have a question. What about Robert Saleh and Sala, the defensive coordinator for the? Yeah, I mean, what do you think about that hire?
Okay, I'll be completely honest. I'm not against it, but this has Bieniemy written all over it.
Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I think Eric Bieniemy makes the most sense.
You're going to have to pay Bieniemy, though, because you're going to ask this man to leave Kansas City to go to Houston where you rebuild. Now, keep in mind, you could be a head coach, but you leave everything that's already in place for Houston.
Because, we have not, Alex, seen the only time we even tasted a Super Bowl or we thought we were going to make a Super Bowl was when Matt Shaw was a quarterback and they were 12-4 and he got injured right before the postseason, right before the playoffs. I think it was Albert Hainsworth. Someone rolled onto Schaub's knee.
I remember
that team, and I believe that was 2011. That team, I think, could have made it to the Super Bowl. That was one team. Do it now.
Andre Johnson. I remember that.
Yeah. I mean, that was crushing. I mean, Matt Leinart was the guy that was supposed to take us the rest of the way, and that's all we had. And, like we haven't even been like in the playoffs. We're like, okay, if we play the Bengals, we'll win. I mean, that was our hopes in Houston. If we play you know what I'm saying? And what is that? I mean, a division championship banner, it's just not worth it. At the end of the day, I think Eric Bieniemy is the guy that everyone thinks makes the most sense. My question is to you. Do you think Cal McNair and the Houston Texans pull out the big bucks to pay him to draw him into Houston?
No, and here's why. You and I both know that's a good old boy network. Wasn't it the former owner that died before he died? Say you can't let the inmates run the prison.
Mm,
Yeah. Now, why would you want to do the right thing and pay Eric Bieniemy, who's probably the best offensive coordinator and has been in the NFL for the last 3 or 4 years, and is more than rightful of a head coaching position, but go against your morals and hire somebody that doesn't look like you? That's why I think they don't get
mm,
Eric Bieniemy. Now, Robert Saleh, although maybe in the same situation, if you know what I mean, is a
right.
little easier on the eyes, and he's a defensive-minded coach. You need to fix that defense. You got the quarterback. You have market value for a wide receiver, and you actually have two good tight ends. I like Akins. He actually has something. And Fells is your security blanket if you use him right. Anyway, I don't want to go too far down that path. Here's the point. You have trade bait. You don't have a first round pick, and you're limited on the amount of picks you have in this upcoming draft. You need to fix your defense and your offensive line. Take some of that 255 million that you invested on this own 14 and cut it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is going to have to be rebuild mode 100%. I mean, I have a question because I've heard this floated around, and I know you have more knowledge and understanding of like what teams are willing to give up. Do you think if the Texans were to offer up J.J. Watt to the Steelers, that they would be able to get anything in return? I don't even know what the Steelers have pick wise. I don't know what they'd be willing to give up. I mean,
You're not
JJ is
getting the
kind of
first.
long in the tooth
You're not
NFL
getting the
wise.
first for JJ. You're not getting the first for JJ. You could definitely get a third. You could definitely get
Okay,
a third for JJ. You might be able to give it two, but considering that Pittsburgh doesn't need him, you're doing them a favor. You know what I mean?
true.
So I'm thinking a third and maybe James Washington, since you need a
Okay,
wide receiver. And he's from the area. He played his ball at Oklahoma State. He needs a fresh start between Claypool, Deontay Johnson, and Juju Smith-Schuster. You are not going to get any playing time, bro. So
right.
yeah, I could see them making that happen if they trade James Washington in the third round pick for JJ Watt. But then JJ, you wanna watch, bro. You're there with both your brothers, the
Yeah,
fullback, and now you're taking TJ Watt's shine. It's Super Bowl or bust. And last time I checked, Baltimore runs that division.
yeah, that's true. That's true. So I'm just wondering how can we get JJ Watt out of Houston where he has a chance to compete for a Super Bowl? Because to me, they owe it to JJ Watt to do that. I think because he's done so much for this city. He's put up, I mean, I don't know if you saw his press conference yesterday. I mean, I have never seen him look like a pissed off 10-year-old. I mean, he looked like a little kid that was mad that you just grounded him for like a whole year. Like he was just sitting there and he was like, I think he wanted to come out and say something. I think people have wanted to come out and talk against Bill O'Brien, but how can you? Because he's also the GM. How do you give this guy that much power? I mean, he must have played mind tricks on these people. He must have
Here's
played
what
mind
I think.
tricks.
I'll leave it at this since we got to cut this
Yeah.
segment. This is what I think. He brought a winning tradition to a bad franchise.
Okay.
They went from mediocrity, bottom of the barrel, to winning the division for the last 5 years. Now, you get beat the first time you go, you get embarrassed the second time you go, you barely lose the third time you go, and the fourth time you go, you have an ugly encounter with Buffalo. You barely win that game, and then you're up 21 points against the future NFL champions, but you decide to punt it when it's 4th and 1 and go for it when it's 4th and 3 on your own 30. That's head coaching decision.
Yeah.
Your secondary has turned into trash, and now not one, not two, but three careers have been impacted by Bob
Yeah.
Bill O'Brien. Bro, I'm not gonna miss you. I'm gonna have milk and cookies when I wake up in the morning. There is a God who is alive.
That's true. And it's actually a glorious day. Bill O'Brien gets fired. The Astros smack the Oakland A's around in the first playoff game, win 10-5. And man, let me tell you, things are hot in Houston. Things are looking up for us, man. So what's there to say? So I'm all for Eric Bieniemy. I really hope that the public's opinion of that can change the minds of those up top. I mean, hey man, we can always take that to church and pray about that one.
All right, we got H-Town Wheelhouse own Strohs 411 with the 32,000 faithful followers. Brett Chancey in the house. I know you got homework to do. Hey, now you tell your kids Houston's going to have a brighter day.
That's right. Yes, sir. Thank you, Alex, for letting me join in and share my thoughts. I really appreciate it.
Carousel, yeah. Carousel, yeah. Carousel, this the carousel. On or you off, either you're on or you're off, either you're on or you're off. What? Knock 'em out. Carousel, yeah. Carousel, yeah. Carousel, this the carousel. On or you're off, either you're on or you're off, either you're on or you're off.